highest amount for the least amount of benefit, both in healthcare and in education. And so federally, tuition-free public colleges and universities is more in a federal domain. It's doable here on a federal level, so we advocate for that, but then on a local level, the Campaign for Fiscal Equity is something we need to press our state officials.
So I encourage everyone after Jen's closing remarks to hang around, get a talk to her, talk to members of the team, and let's get this discussion going. Hi Alexandra, pleasure to meet you. My name is Tiffany, and my husband and I moved to Parkchester 2 years ago. We're originally from Long Island, and yeah, we love the Bronx. We tell everyone that the Bronx is like the best kept secret. In the Bronx, like the diversity, the culture, the food, everything. People, unfortunately, a lot of our co-workers, I'm a pharmacist at the Bronx, PA. My husband's a public school teacher in the Bronx. A lot of our co-workers don't live in the Bronx. They want to live in Manhattan, they want to live in Queens, other places. There's a lot of misconceptions about the Bronx, that there's a lot of crime, there's nothing to do, and we always are trying to change people's minds and saying how special the Bronx is. So basically, my question is, how do you plan on bringing more middle-class people into the Bronx without raising rents? I know the bad word is gentrification. How do you keep the local residents in the Bronx while bringing in more middle-class diversity, making the Bronx even greater and having more things to do?
Hello, Alexandra. My name is Sharon Pedrano, and I'm so excited that you're here tonight. Congratulations on your radical revolution. I can tell you District 14 has never seen anything like this, nor have other parts of the country. But so my question for you, or my statement is, I've lived in Bronx for 13 years, and I've seen so many businesses close. What are your thoughts on encouraging more businesses to invest in the area, and in particular those that are bringing good foods to our neighborhoods? And we don't have good stuff in this neighborhood, so we'd love to see more of that. Thank you.
Hello, Alexandra. Thank you so much for doing this. This is really awesome. The Intercept, which is a news publication, just broke a story on the NYCD recently using a lot of contracts with big tech companies to increase their use of facial recognition to continue to report, predictive policing. ICE also uses artificial intelligence under this administration to increase its use of deportation algorithms as well. Even Medicare disbursements also use automated decision making, which has been to detriment to a ton of patients. So my question is, as someone who's going to represent this district in New York, do you have a specific plan to negate or protect the rights and liberties of those that are most vulnerable and marginalized from these automated systems, so that technology, even though we enjoy it, doesn't continue to propagate systemic violence and inequality?
I'll go again. So I'll start off. So the first question is, welcome to Parkchester. That's where I live. It was so funny. I don't know if anyone saw the meme going around this week about Parkchester. But if you've been to Parkchester, you know where like there's this Macy's, and yeah, so you saw it. So this person took a picture, and they see like the buildings above the Macy's, and it's like, of course the Bronx would have projects with the Macy's, and everyone's like, how are you gonna disrespect Parkchester like that? It was super funny. I laughed. So I think the question was, regarding how do we have more middle-class people in the Bronx? And I think the answer is to uplift the Bronx into being middle class, and to uplift the people who are here into being middle class, instead of displacing folks because they are poor. So that's why, one of the reasons why I'm so committed to, ending intergenerational policy, to having policies of social and racial justice, because they're not either or, they're linked, and they're basically, in many ways, they both have destiny over people's economic future. And so for me, I'm actually not concerned at all about outside perceptions of the Bronx, because I'm not trying to convince someone from Staten Island to come here. I'm trying to change. It's fine. I mean, it's welcome. I'm just giving you a hard time. But no, it's fun. The nature of the city is change. And I'm not trying to be like hyper-protectionist or anything either. I think Parkchester is actually a perfect example. My parents moved here. My mom was a 23-year-old newlywed, born and raised in Puerto Rico, and she got married and moved to Parkchester. And Parkchester was where she kind of started her, I guess at least stateside American story. And that's one of the things I'm really proud of about our district in New York 14. We have Parkchester on this side, but we also have the whole Queens half of the district, and there's a lot of commonalities in the community. So we have Throgsneck. Throgsneck has a lot of commonalities with College Point, which is a similar community just across the way. And Parkchester has a lot of similarities to neighborhoods in Jackson Heights. So even though the district is drawn all crazy, there's a lot of kind of mirror communities between the two. And what I love about New York 14 is that our district is actually 50% immigrant. So this is the district where people start their American story. This is the district where we really prove what America is all about. This is the district that is welcoming. We should be the symbol of welcoming and championing our neighbors. So it's not to say don't come here. But what I do think is there is an issue of gentrification in the city, and the basic issue of gentrification is we're not going to solve the underlying problems, we're just going to shuffle people around. And particularly when it comes to displacement in the city, right now, New York City has 3 empty luxury apartments for every 1 person experiencing homelessness. And if any of you work in Manhattan or especially if you take a bus, I used to take the express bus into Manhattan, so it's all above ground, and you look around, you see all these empty storefronts in Manhattan. And there's a lot of those big high-rises with apartment buildings are empty, because people are using them to kind of hide wealth, but no one's actually living inside. And that's causing all of the people who, in the 90s, you could have some kind of reasonable income and live in Manhattan. Now Manhattan is half empty, and all the folks that would have normally lived there have to find another place to live. And so it kind of pushes, everyone gets kind of, it's like there's this hole in the middle, and then everyone gets pushed out and displaced. So I think for us, the thing that's important is that, I want to be the borough that invests in the people who are here, that helps people lift themselves up a socioeconomic ladder. And, perceptions of the Bronx are one thing. I absolutely think it's something to address, because there's a lot of roots in classism and misconceptions about the community. But honestly, my number 1 priority is how we perceive ourselves. Because I feel like we, as a borough, have an issue. We have a lot of folks have low self-esteem about our borough, and I'm really proud to be a Bronxite, because I don't think any other place in America could have produced the upset that we just had in June except the Bronx. It could only happen here. Is how I feel, because of the dynamics, because we have people who are so open-minded, but we are also so welcoming, and we're so willing to go to the mat and fight for ideas that no one's ever really fought for before, at least in this area. And so for me, I think it's more, the question is more, how do we convince our neighbors that this is awesome? you know, and I think it's awesome. And I think part of that is our own organizing. You know, things like this, it doesn't just have to be a town hall, but the fact that when we gather as community, it really elevates, I think, our own self-esteem because we're all participating, you know, and it's a hard part of the economic reality of not just living in New York City, but America right now, where we're all working so much. And it used to be, decades ago, that you could work 40 hours a week and raise a family on 40 hours a week. And the benefit of that is not just the economic comfort, but because you have all those extra hours in the week to commute, to go to church, if that's your thing, or to go to your house of faith, or to go to your Lions Club, or to, you know, go to Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts, or, you know, what have you. And those community activities is how we really strengthen ourselves and feel like we belong. And so, so doing things like this, I think, is extremely important in how we increase our own self-esteem, and also basic things. There's a lot of organizing happening here in the Bronx. And I'm really, you know, one of our goals is that we hope to be kind of a clearinghouse. So if someone says, oh, I want to get involved, I don't know what to do, we can at least say, here's all the things happening in our own backyard that sometimes we don't even know about. And there's a lot of people, you know, there's a big movement to create more green space in the Bronx because our community needs so much more green space. And to beautify the neighborhoods that we already love, and to do that beautification ourselves. You know, there's something that is so special about laying the paint, you know, on a wall ourselves, because then we own it. Then we did that. And doing that stuff, I think, is super duper important. And then when you invite your friends over and do cool stuff, then they'll like it too. And then we can vote. So there was that. Sorry. Oh man, that was only my first question. Okay. The second one, I think it's a similar thing when it turns to business closing. How do we bring more businesses here? A lot of it is like, how do we keep existing businesses open? Rent is out of control. It's just out of control, and that's the number one thing driving a lot of these business closures. You know, people say raising the minimum wage is like what kills businesses, and it's not. You know, rents have been going up an insane amount, completely unchecked, and nobody talks about that on a broader level. So I think one of the things that we need to do is, you know, organize the business community and especially our local businesses, and figure out how we organize for rent protections for small and local businesses, especially those that have been here for so long, or even the ones that are just starting up that are family businesses, because that is how you know, generations and families really lift themselves up. My dad had a small business in Parkchester, and you know, small businesses, you know, it's some years it's really rough, and some years you just squeak by. But it's also that thing where it's yours. It's the thing that you're trying to do, and there's a certain freedom to that, and there's a certain esteem to that in the community. So I think that one of the things that you know, we really need to address cost of rent and cost of some of these vacancies. But there's also a lot of organizations that we can help plug folks into with that. And then the last question. All these questions tonight have been like so incredible. I mean, I'm just really happy. But this last question was another super amazing question, talking about how there was reporting from The Intercept about how NYPD had partnered with IBM, and they've been developing facial recognition without anybody knowing on the general public. I believe in privacy rights. I'm a really strong believer in privacy rights and technological privacy rights, and I believe in the right for all people to own their own data. So right now, you have all of these companies tracking. It's like kind of scary to talk about, but it's true. You have all these companies that are like tracking where you're going. They you know, apps on your phone, like sometimes even we download games on our phone and we think that the games are innocuous. Well, they're free because they start tracking you. And then they sell that data. And so for me, I think that, you know, I believe that what we need right now and the prescription of right now is a 21st century revival of the social movements that we had in the 50s and 60s. I believe that we need a 21st century labor rights movement. I believe we need a 21st century civil rights movement. I believe that we need a 21st century environmental movement, and so on and so forth. 21st century indigenous rights movement. I believe that we need to pick up where we left off. And when it comes to this issue, I believe that it's a civil rights issue. I believe that our data is part of who we are, our behavior is who we are, and we need to own that, and no one should be able to track it unless we give consent. So with this issue, I think that it's hard, and the other issue, and the main thing that you brought up too, is how this can perpetuate discrimination and bias. It's so important to talk about this issue because we think of robots or like computer programs as like agnostic. It's like, oh, it's a robot that it just like calculated that. But humans program robots. And all of these dots connect. You grow up and communities of color are concentrated, and you have the state that underfunds our schools. That means less computer programmers come out of communities like ours, which means in Silicon Valley is largely just one race. And so most programmers, most tech CEOs are all one race. They all come from one background. A lot of them are from the suburbs. So people are all programming their assumptions into these profiles. And what they find over and over and over again is that these